Hey everybody, welcome to Bodiac and Wellness. Today we're talking hydration. Now, as always, if you haven't already, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button. Now, in my clinic, honestly, probably 60% of the people who come to me on a regular basis wouldn't need to come if they just hydrated enough. It is amazing how many people live chronically dehydrated, and it causes a ton of health problems. So today I'm going to break down for you what to look for, that signs of hydration. We're going to break down how much you need to drink, what you need to drink, what not to drink, and then a couple tests to make sure that you actually are hydrated so that you can test for yourself and check in on yourself and keep yourself healthy. So let's go top down so we can go through all the symptoms that you might be experiencing. So from the top, yes, headaches and dizziness, definitely first thing to look at is hydration. Make sure you're hydrated enough. Once again, a lot of tension that happens in the neck and tense muscles is number one cause of muscle cramping and muscle stiffness is dehydration, and that can contribute to tension in the neck, which can lead to tension headaches in the head. As we move through any kind of dry symptoms, so dry signs, so things like dry, itchy eyes or dry mouth or lips, obviously a sign of dehydration. Ringing in the ears, not one we tend to associate, but yeah, definitely. Now, when it comes to the hearing, and especially that pesky little cranial nerve number 8, it can be damaged due to listening to too loud music, having your earphones in too loud. It can be caused by TMJ, the temporal mandibular joint, having some inflammation or problems, some inner ear infections, or even tight musculature in the neck. But that tinnitus, that ringing that kind of comes and goes here and there, can often just be simple dehydration, just not enough water. As we move down into the chest, two things that we want to think about. One, high blood pressure. High blood pressure or rapid heart rate, what's called tachycardia, often a sign of just dehydration. Once again, blood is 90% water. And if you're chronically dehydrated, that blood becomes a little more viscous, a little more sticky, and has trouble moving through those peripheral nerve blood vessels. And so you raise blood pressure. So for those of you out there who have blood pressure, first thing you should be checking before you reach for that pill is making sure that you're actually hydrated enough. And we're going to get to that a little bit later, how to check to make sure you're hydrated enough. But if we move down to the tummy, obviously being thirsty is one thing, but hunger is also one of those things where we misinterpret we're actually thirsty when we think we're hungry. So when we are feeling like we're starving, especially if we're trying to change our diet and we're trying to eat a little bit better, and we're often have those hunger cravings, first thing we should do is have a glass of water. Just make sure that we're not thirsty and we're just confusing those signals. But in the afternoon, a big one, people tend to get bloated in mid-afternoon, and that is a sign of dehydration. So once again, having a glass of water and see if that bloating tends to go away. Of course, moving down, yes, urination. Urine should be light colored. It should be lighter than Corona at all times, including first thing in the morning. I always have patients say that, well, of course it's dark in the morning, but then it gets lighter as I drink. This should not be the case. Now, oftentimes people are dehydrated in the morning because they are mouth breathers. They are nasally congested, so they open up their mouth, they breathe through the mouth, they dry themselves out, and they wake up dehydrated. Or the last meal that they had, dinner, was something that was dehydrated. Could be something that was inflammatory. They could have been having their wheat, dairy, corn, soy, processed sugar, or they could have been having too much salt in that meal, leading them to be dehydrated. So simple things to think about. If it is the fact that you're just a mouth breather, a lot of times, once again, people are feeling congested at night, it might be due to allergens in your bed. And a really simple thing that you can do, every 2 weeks, when you change your sheets at the end of the week, whenever you change your sheets, every 2 weeks, take off your sheets and sprinkle baking soda on the bed, on the mattress, let it sit for 10 minutes and then vacuum it. It will drastically reduce the allergens in the bed. You're sucking up all that, both dust mite and dust mite droppings that are highly allergenic and lead to sinus congestion, lead to you to breathe through your mouth, and lead to you being chronically dehydrated in the morning. So those are things we want to look at from sort of top to bottom that says, hey, maybe we're just not drinking enough water. So now that we've looked at the signs, how much do you actually need? And that's pretty simple, and we've been telling you that forever, and it's basically that 6 to 8 cups. It's really 2 liters is what we need. Now, yes, you can drink too much. If you're drinking 6, 8, 10 liters of water, you are going to throw off your electrolyte balance and you're going to run into trouble. So you definitely don't want to be drinking excessive amounts. But if you're sticking between a 2 to 4 liter range in a day, you are going to be safe and healthy. Once again, that fluid doesn't have to all come from water. But with my patients, I always say, listen, as long as you get at least 2 liters of water in the day, you're covered. Now, if you have some fruit that's like watermelon that's full of lots of water, or you're having soups, yeah, these are all great ways to take in a little bit of water, but I always want to cover your bases and make sure you're getting at least 2 liters of water. Now, on humid days like we've been having lately, water is not enough because when we sweat out a lot of our electrolytes, our potassium, magnesium. So coconut water is your best bet, not those sugary, bright colored fluorescent drinks that come in the plastic bottles that those sports teams use down in Florida. Not going to mention any names. We do not need these things. There is more bad than good in them. But coconut water actually has the exact balance of potassium, magnesium as our blood. So on a humid day, go for the coconut water. Now, if you're pounding the coconut water, there is a laxative effect of it. So don't go crazy on the coconut water. Once again, if you're having 4 liters of coconut water, you're going to be running to the bathroom. But once again, a liter in a day, absolutely no problem. You're going to feel way better, and especially if you're exercising outside or doing anything outside on really hot, humid days. But when it's not so humid, H2O is all you need. Now, what we shouldn't be putting in, or what's not hydrating us, and that would be, of course, alcohol. Any kind of alcoholic beverage is a diuretic, and it's going to dry you out, and it's going to, because it's hard on your liver has to process it. That takes water, and a lot of it, they have a diuretic effect like beer. Beer is actually one of the strongest diuretic. There is stronger than most of our diuretic medications out on the market. The other things are caffeinated beverages. So coffees or teas. And that doesn't matter if it's green teas, herbal teas, these are all thermogenics. These are all diuretics. You know this because anytime you have a coffee or tea, your mouth is not moist afterwards. You don't feel hydrated afterwards. So yes, you go from coffee, which is 144 milligrams on average of caffeine, down to black tea, which is about 90 milligrams of caffeine, down to herbal teas, which are considered uncaffeinated because they have between 4 and 6 milligrams. Anything less than 10 milligrams considered uncaffeinated. But they are thermogenics. They do warm up your body. They heat up your body, and they are diuretics. They help to flush water out of your system. So are effective for certain things, but when it comes to hydration, it is not one of them. All we need is water, and as said, on humid days, coconut water. Now, for the last thing, we want to think of what things can we look at. And we typically look at our urine, and we simply say, okay, my urine's dark, I need a drink. But the thing is that takes about 45 minutes to move through us. So by the time we've drank that glass of water, it's another 40 minutes before there's going to be a good change in our urine to indicate whether we're hydrated enough. But we have 2 other things that we can look at that are much, much quicker. So once again, let's go top down. So the tongue. The tongue is something that we use in Chinese men, and it tells us a ton of things what's going on in the body. Now your tongue should be pink and moist and have a thin white coat to it. Now, all you have to do is go into the mirror, into the bathroom, and stick your tongue out and take a look. If your tongue is red, specifically if you have a red tip and a pink body to the tongue, this is what's called a yin deficient tongue, a dehydrated tongue. It shows that there's heat in the heart. There's not enough yin water to balance the fire of the heart. So we definitely want to make sure that our tongue is pink and moist, and we have a thin white coat. Simple, simple, simple thing. Now, it doesn't matter if you scrape your tongue. Patients always say that to me, oh, well, I scrape my tongue in the morning. That literally lasts 20 minutes, and then the coat is back. So scraping your tongue is not a necessary thing. But once again, thin white coat to your tongue and pink and moist, definitely important. Number 2, something we call 5-center heat. And this is a really simple thing that you can do anywhere without sticking out your tongue in a reflection of yourself in the mirror. You can just take the back of one hand and feel the temperature of your forearm, and then feel the temperature of your hand. Now, these 2 should be the same temperature. Now, sometimes the temperature of your hand will be colder than your forearm, and this denotes a blood deficiency or blood nutrients not moving to the extremities. Sometimes when people have low blood pressure or are anemic, they can have things like Raynaud's phenomena. You can have a little bit of colder hands. But if your hands are hotter than your forearm. And always use the back of the hand. Use the back hand to feel. If the hand is hotter, this is what's called 5-center heat. We typically have the hands and feet, center of the chest, tends to be a little bit hotter when we are dehydrated. And this is a really simple way that you can check to see in the second, hey, I need to drink. And if the hands are hotter, that means you need to drink right away because your body is already suffering from dehydration. Lastly, of course, is urine. And once again, you want to make sure that the urine is always lighter than Corona, so it should be light yellow. It shouldn't be cloudy. It shouldn't be orange. It shouldn't have any other thing but light yellow. There should be some color. If you're drinking too much water, that's when you'll actually see in your urine that it'll be totally clear. And this we also don't want because, once again, this means we're going to be throwing off our electrolyte balance and it's going to make us feel crappy as well. So we want light urine, we want hands the same temperature as the forearm, and we want a tongue that's pink, moist, with a thin white coat. Give it a try. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you learned something today. As always, do me a favor. Help me to help other people. So share this video with your friends and family, someone who's chronically drying out like a prune. And of course, don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for watching.